to another segment of Taking My Life Back, the movement. I'm Apostle Regina Holliday, your host, and I'm so glad that you have decided to stop by to listen to what we're going to be talking about today. I'm excited because we're doing a special edition. This edition is Taking My Life Back. Let's talk about the blended family. The reason I wanted to do this is because I married my husband 28 years ago, and we have a blended family. And I just thought that it would be really, really great for us to discuss our experience with blending our families. We've been at this for a really long time. We've had a lot of ups and a lot of downs, but I wanted to just share our experience. So I want you to welcome my husband, Apostle Jeff, as our Taking My Life Back guest on today.
Hey everybody, how y'all doing?
Well, welcome, Apostle or honey.
How you feeling today?
I'm good. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling all right.
Good. Well, welcome back. This is your second time being on the Taking My Life Back set. The first time you allowed me to interview you and you shared your testimony. So thank you again for that. And thank you for becoming a Taking My Life Back warrior. So we're so happy that you're just supporting me in this endeavor that the Lord has given me to do. But we're going to talk tonight about the blended family. And we know to blend, it means to bring several things together, one or two things coming together to mix, to make one whole thing, right? So just want to start talking about our experience and us coming together 28 years ago when we got married to blend our families. And that's an experience in itself. Before we get started, I want to use just as a landing post, so to speak. I want to use my book that I wrote about blended family in. And this book I wrote 11 years ago, and most of you probably already have it. It's Healing for the Wounded Spirit, Breaking Free from the Wounds of Your Past. And in one of the chapters of this book, I write about the blended family. It's actually within the chapter that I call Found by the Right Man. So in this chapter, I share a little bit of my story of how my journey was when I met my husband, and my husband asked me to marry him, and we got married. And then within that chapter is just a subtitle or subchapter called The Blended Family. I just want to read a little bit, and we're just going to kind of talk. We're going to talk from our experiences, and just hopefully this will bless someone. Hopefully this will help someone that is contemplating marriage or that's already gotten into marriage. You have children, and the blending is not coming together quite well for you. We had many turbulent times as we were blending as a family. Early in the marriage, it seemed like everyone was fighting to find their place in this new family. For many years before I got married, it was only myself and my son and my daughter. My two children had to adjust to the role that this new man played in our lives. They were determined that he was not going to take the place of their father. Time has only permitted them to have a relationship that is second to none. He has a special place in his heart for them, and so do they. He has shown my 33-year-old son how to be a man and a man of God by example. He has shown my 28-year-old daughter how a man should treat her and that she is valuable. Over the past 15 years, again, this was in 2011, he has taught them invaluable lessons about life, love, and relationships. So I'm going to stop right there. And let's talk about that, honey. We talk about how we had turbulent times early on in the marriage. And it seemed like everybody was fighting for their place, coming together. It was turbulent for our kids. I know that each one of them had their own set of issues adjusting to this new normal, adjusting to the new family. So let's talk about that. What do you think about that?
Well, the thing that was back during that time was immaturity. That was immaturity not just with the children, but also immaturity with us because even though we were adults and working and had our own things and careers and different things, we were still new to that part of relationship. Yeah. We were new to bringing, you know, the households together, and we were trying to grow in those roles. So that's where some of the challenges came. Mm-hmm. But the whole part of the matter is, the biggest part of it is the outcome, I believe. Mm-hmm. And that's something that I pray that this conversation we're having now, mm-hmm, will be able to encourage others to know that you may have tough times, you may have trying times, but you always have to focus on the outcomes. And if you focus on the outcomes, things will get there where you need them to be. Yeah. One outcome we did know that we wanted our family to get along. We wanted our family to grow together. And they were young at the time. Your younger two, they were 3 and 5 at the time. And my older two were 12. They were 12 and 17. Mm-hmm. So they were a little bit older, but I think all 4 of them had to adjust. They all had to adjust in their own way. And I remember you saying, you told them to call me mom, right? Mm-hmm. And it was like, no problem at all. And so to this day, it's natural. And so, but it was different with my children because they were a little bit older. And so neither one of them call you dad, but they do have terms of endearment. What do they call you? Papa and Pops. They call you Papa and Pops. Mm-hmm. That's their term of endearment for you, because they were older. And I think when kids get a little bit older, sometimes they feel like they have to choose, and to have loyalty to their parents, mm-hmm, or to their other parent. They don't want to seem like they're being disloyal. Are you still proving yourself to my 2 children? In any type of way? That one of the things was, even for me and for you, we wanted to be the bonus mom and be the bonus dad for each one of our children, and not taking the place, but giving them an extra added bonus of having 2 moms that loved you just as much equally, and having 2 dads that loves you just as much equally. Well, the thing with, I was saying, you asked me, am I still proving myself? I don't look at it as proving myself. I would look at things more so that you're secure in who you are. Mm-hmm. You create your own relationships. Yeah. And when you're secure in the man or the woman you are, you don't have to prove yourself, so to speak. Mm-hmm. You know your motives, you know your mindset. Everybody else may not know what your motive or your mindset is. But as I say about not just relationship or blending of a marriage or blending of a family, but just blending in your life, is that you got to know that your motives are pure. And when you have pure motives, things are going to be what they're supposed to be. And so you do the best you can do. Yeah. And when you're securing yourself, things are going to turn out okay. And so that's the thing that I do, and I live with the full assurance that, look, when the older ones, when their biological dad come around, we're all one family. Mm-hmm. It's no big deal. Yeah. Or when their biological moms are in the place, it's no big deal. Right. And we enjoy each other's company, and we, nobody's worried about nothing. It's just that, hey, we all family together. Right. Right. We all have the one great thing in common, which is the children. And the goal is to help them to be the best. To be the best that they can be. To society that they can be. I want to get them on. I really want to get them on because I want to hear their hearts. I want them to talk about their experience, because we can talk about our experience, and we can talk about what we noticed with them and what we learned about ourselves through even the acting out or whatever they might have done to kind of non-verbally communicate those things that they couldn't put words to. I want to talk to them about their experiences. I think that would be really, really good, because we can talk about it from our perspective, because we were the 2 that were in love. We were the 2 that was determined we're going to spend the rest of our life together. And as I said before, sometimes people don't think of the magnitude of impact that it can have on the children, or even the dog and the cat. Trying to
trying to cohabitate together.
That's right. When you move into a new shared space, regardless to what thing you are, there is a new shared space, and then and everybody has to have respect for that. Yeah. You know that moment, and when we have that respect for that moment, we'll all have the empathy that we need to have for that person's individual experience.
That's true. We understood that. But the children didn't quite understand that.
I would even dare to say we didn't fully understand.
We understood it to some degree.
Well, I mean, we understood.
That's why we bought a bigger house.
Right. We understood it, but we didn't fully understand it. The reason I say that is not to take anything away from us, but the reality is, okay. For example, with us, we moved into I moved into where your house was at. Looking back on it 28 years later, we might have said, okay, while we're going through this process of, getting ready for the wedding, we would have made it, maybe taken another step and also gotten ready for the marriage better. What does that mean in the situation like this? We would have said, okay, we're gonna get the 4-bedroom house instead of the 3-bedroom house, and then so once we would have the 4-bedroom house on day one, it could have changed the scenario and some of the things that. But this is what we're talking about, big picture, right? And the aspect of because we were immature in a lot of things, which was okay, but you once you know better, then you're responsible for doing better.
That's true. But even the point you made about getting the bigger house, we were not in a financial position to get a bigger house. Now if we had decided, okay, we're going to wait and then we'll purchase a bigger house later and then get married a little bit later, if that was our plan. But that wasn't our plan. And I think the reason it took us a little while to move into the next house that we purchased, which was a what was it?
Four bedroom
house,
bath.
Right? So everybody had their own bedroom at the time. But the reason it took us so long because I wasn't ready to move.
Right. That right there speaks to the whole value of the blending.
Right. But then when I realized, wow, the walls started closing in on me, like, man, we need more space. But it took me being able to see that and understand that, wow, this was fine when me and my son and my daughter moved in here. There was 3 bedrooms. It was my first house. It was perfect for us. So when the family began to grow, we really outgrew that space.
Quickly we outgrew it because we ended up renovating. The basement, got the whole basement finished, everything, and we did all of these different things, but it still just wasn't enough space. But that's the whole thing that you have to always be moving your mind forward, and that's something that even as you're growing and you're blending, always moving your mind forward. So that's something that again is no value judgment against where we were at in the moment, because just like everything else, I would dare to say we would have made it work. But we didn't. The mindset wasn't on buying a new house. We could have did it, but we didn't even think about it because the only thing we were thinking about is we love each other, and things gonna be okay. And that was the beginning and the end of it until it was like, okay, you know what, we gotta do something. So the kids are getting bigger and everything, and so we just gotta do what we got to do.
Yeah, and that was it was a great experience, and I think one of the things about blending, don't be afraid or don't beat yourself up if you make mistakes.
And you're gonna make mistakes.
You're gonna make mistakes, and the thing about it is always having an open heart and recognizing where you might have fallen short. One of the things that I try to do with all of my children is to have an individual relationship with them, and I've learned to learn about them. I've learned whether I birthed them out or not. All 4 of them are my children, and I look at them as my children, and I've given life to them one way or another. I didn't birth his biological 2 out, but I've given life to them. I've given life to them. I think that's one of the major things as a bonus parent that you have to desire to do is to give life to that child, give life to helping them to grow, in the sense of naturally, spiritually, emotionally, mentally, in every aspect of their life that you can contribute to. If it's something you don't know, you have to go and learn so that you can be able to not just tell them what to do, but to live and to show them how to do it. I don't have a problem apologizing to my children. That's part of knowing that I'm not perfect, they're not perfect, we're not perfect. We're imperfect trying to perfect this thing called life and relationships. So don't be so quick to be able to reprimand or discipline someone else when they've done something wrong. But when you have fallen short, you can't admittedly say, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I was wrong." That's how you build a relationship. That's how you allow them to see the human part of you, and that's what helps them to bond with you and be able to trust you more even.
I believe that trust is earned.
Yeah.
And trust now that's the one thing you can prove, because you prove trust by doing what you say you're going to do and showing up. And I would even dare to say whether it's a quote unquote blended bonus type of situation or biological.
Yeah.
One of the things that I believe that is a shortcoming in many relationships, especially in parental relationships, is that we take too many things for granted. Yeah. We take too many people for granted, and just because that's your child, that your child is going to automatically be there. Just because that's your child's going to automatically have to do whatever. It's just as simple. And when you start honoring each other and valuing each other in your relationships, then there will be a shifting that will be able to take the relationship from alpha to the omega, because that's the biggest part that I believe that will help each and every one of us as we're blending our lives in total.
That's good. I want to read a little bit more, and we've kind of covered a little bit of this, but I just want to read it from the book, and we can just kind of elaborate on it as well. Just as my two children had to adjust to this new family, so did my husband's two children. They were very young when we came together, and there was a lot they didn't understand. God has used me to help to rear them and impart into them. My development into a mother to them has not been without resistance. After many years of testing and trials, we have persevered. We have stood through the storm, and I love them as if they were my own, and they have grown to respect and love me unconditionally. So I'll share this part, and then I want to talk a little bit more. I remember recently talking to my youngest daughter. I was saying something about giving birth to 4 children, and she laughed and reminded me that I only birthed 2 children. So I told her that I couldn't tell the difference. So just saying that, and I wrote that in the book just to let you know how close we really are. You know, it's like I was talking about something, and I birthed 4 children because that's how I feel, right? And getting to the point that, oh, I didn't birth them. And even as I said, I birthed 2 children, but I've given life to more than 4 children actually, but I've given life to 4 children that blended into the family. So I think that's powerful. That's really, really powerful when you have a bond. And because you always say, and one of the things, my oldest son or our oldest son always calls him. He calls me too, but he calls him more than he calls me. And his youngest son calls me more than he calls him. And that just lets you know that there is, even as I wrote here in the book too, when you said there's no steps, the only steps in this house are the steps that you go up and down. And I thought that was phenomenal, but that is what we've tried to live by. That is truly what we have tried to live by. We've gone places, and people will say, "Oh, my biological daughter looks just like him," and then they'll say, "Oh, his biological daughter looks just like me." And even on our wedding day, I remember your aunt saying, "Oh wow, that girl looks more like you than she looks like her mom." And she kind of, it happened that way for a lot of years. And I think we all resemble, and we look like we're not blended, but we're all biological. And I think that's the way God planned it. I really believe that that's the way God planned it. And I think that even in that small detail, when God puts you together, it's for more than just because He thinks you all favor. There's a mission. There's a mission, and our family, we have had a lot of ups and downs. We've had sibling rivalry. We're working through issues. It is no different if they were all biological, because I think it happens in all families.
Yeah, sibling rivalry
Yeah.
is as old as the Bible. So that's
Yeah.
exactly where it's
Cain and
at.
Abel,
Right?
right?
It's as old as the Bible.
Yeah.
And even when you look in the New Testament, who gonna sit at the right hand? You know,
Right,
and all
right,
these other kind of things.
yeah.
And who were the but who were the
Right.
first
Who's
to
greatest?
who were the first sets of disciples that were called off the ship?
They
Two
were
sets of
brothers,
brothers.
right?
So we understand that part of what you're doing in life is going to always be about blending. Yeah. And bringing things together and bringing things in order so that you can grow and be all that you're called to be in your purpose.
Yeah, that's good. And I would challenge the mothers who have blended children, sons and daughters that you didn't birth out. I would challenge you to, whatever the relationship is like. It may be rocky. Maybe you've made some mistakes. Maybe they've been disrespectful to you. Maybe they've said some things to you. I challenge you to pray and to ask the Lord how you can show them love in a way that they may not expect, in a way that you would not normally extend love. There's the bonus mothers and the bonus fathers. I'm talking to you, and I want to challenge you on that, because we can tell them how to love, but when you show them how to love, and God may just want to use you to fill a void in their life that, and no disrespect to their biological parents, but maybe it's something that He can get through you to them that the parents just don't have at this point to give them. Apostle Jeff, he's been so valuable in imparting different things into my son and my daughter, as I have been into impart into his son and daughter. It's nothing to take away from their biological mothers and their biological fathers, but I think that God knows what He was doing when He put you guys together in marriage with children, because there's another calling. It's not just for you to be married and live happily ever after, to minister to those children, to love on those children unconditionally, to give those children something that they've never seen before. And it can be a pulling from you and a challenge for you, but you can do it. And when you do it, I believe you're going to start seeing some different things. You're going to be starting to see, especially if it's friction, and especially if it's tension, when you begin to give of yourself and seek the Lord as of ways that you can uh, give something that wasn't there, something that's missing.
Well, and I challenge all of the parents on the whole, and especially the ones who are the extra. Don't be insecure because you think that someone should call you something. Be that thing. Don't worry about what they call you. Be what you are. If you are a parent, be the parent. If you are the father, be the father. And don't allow the outside influences and outside influences, and even though we're talking the overt opinions of others that are not trying to help you to grow, but the people who are really they're chaos agents and divisive people. Yeah. You have to learn how to be able to hear the voice of the Lord and hear the voice of what He would have for you to do. What would He have you to do? He would have for you to be in peace. Yes. He would have for you to grow in love. The Word of God tells us, the great peace have they that love thy law, and nothing will offend them. So sometimes, like our oldest son, okay, he'll go from Papa to Jeff, depending on what it is he's saying, and depending on what we're talking about. But then the other part is that I know beyond the shadow of a doubt, and I said this just a couple of weeks ago. I said that one of the greatest compliments that he gave me was not that he said something great, not that he bought me anything, but was that he called me with the full expectation that I was going to be able to pick up his oldest son, and then he also told his oldest son to call me. Not even without even not even with him reaching out and saying that or asking me, but and it wasn't him taking it for granted. It was the assurance that he know I had him. He was the it was the assurance that he know I had him. So we got to understand that God is saying that he wants us to grow and be who we are, and if we grow and be who we are, everything again is going to turn out to be in a nice way of blending, and the recipe is going to be the correct way in the measure that it was supposed to be.
That's really, really good. Wow. So no, he knew that you were going to be there. It wasn't that he was taking you for granted, but it was that he knew if I called him, the only way he's not is that he can't. But if he can, I know he is. And I told you, he doesn't even call me for those kind of things because he know mama may not be available, but you make yourself available to help him in that part of his life. And that's important. That's important. I mean, our youngest son called me a few months ago. Hey, Ma, how you doing? I'm like, oh, I'm good. How are you? I'm like, what's going on? Oh, nothing. I'm just calling. Almost fell off the chair because he very seldom does that, but he'll call me if something's going on, if he needs advice, different stuff like that. But just to call to see how Mama's doing, I was like, oh, okay, I like that. I like that. We know them. Yeah. We know them, and our girls, both of them are spoiled rotten. Yeah, I said it. I said it.
Definitely.
They are both spoiled rotten. Yeah. One of them insists that she's the favorite, and the other one reminds us from time to time she was here with you before any of us got here. So we try to make them all feel special. Honestly, that's what I'm really trying to say. I want to read this last little part, and then we're going to wrap it up. This has really been good. I'm excited about what we're doing here because there's so much friction in families. There's so much friction in relationships, and it's hard to make them work sometimes because it takes two equal partners or two willing partners to make it work, whether it's brother sister, brother sister sister, husband wife, whatever it is. It takes a lot to really get that ball to rolling to build a healthy relationship.
That's right.
So I mentioned this, but I'm just going to read it here. It says a number of couples who come together in a blended family may refer to the children as stepchildren and the parents as step parents. My husband has said since the beginning there are no steps in this house. After 15 years at the time of the writing of this book, we have become blended. We have merged together with the help of the Lord into a family that has no steps. Finally, everyone has learned their rightful places, and we are very close. We have family meetings, family dinners, and we have even created a family tradition of spending Christmas Eve together. After 15 years of marriage, we have learned to love all of our children unconditionally, support them, and resolve issues. God has smiled on us as we continue as a family to build his kingdom. I know I made the right choice. The chapter title was Found by the Right Man. So I had to make the choice. When you came to ask me, I had to choose to say yes or no. Blending is not easy. Oil and water don't mix, right? Mm-hmm. You know how they say oil and water don't mix. So you have to have something that can be consistent with the other thing. So when you're talking about blending a family, I believe that it can be done. It's a lot of hard work. Sometimes you have to get counseling. Sometimes you have to pray. Definitely you have to pray.
You have to be humble enough.
Yeah.
To know that you don't have all the answers.
Yes.
And you have to be humble enough to know that your children are going through transition as well.
Yes.
You have to be humble enough to know that they're not always wrong. Mm-hmm. And then you also have to be humble enough to know that guess what? How you were raising your children before you got into this relationship, you wasn't always raising them the correct way.
Ouch, ouch,
you weren't always saying the right thing to them. You weren't always leading them the way that you should have led them, and you weren't always modeling the best behavior. That is so true. The bonus parent, the extra parent, can actually give something that is positive to be able to help you and to grow out of where you were at, because where you were at ain't where you at now.
That's good.
And it's the reason why you ain't there no more. So good. Remember that. It's a reason why you ain't there no more. It's a reason why you got married to that person.
Yeah.
So don't look at yourself as a victim, but you have to start saying that, you know what? I need to remember why I'm here in the first place.
Yeah, and you know, that's a awesome, powerful point, because you helped me with so much with my kids. But I know I've helped you with so much.
Greatly.
Right.
You helped me greatly.
And when I think about that, I can think about the ways that I've helped you, but I can also think about the ways that you've helped me that made a tremendous difference. And me even being able to parent differently, that made me a better parent. So that is so, so powerful. I mean, sometimes you have to learn from each other, and sometimes you have to listen to each other, because when the man comes in or the woman comes in and they notice something that's not great, you think, hey, it's okay. I've been doing it like this all their life. And you realize that it's not good. Like you say, you have to be humble enough to say, man, I was wrong. And that happened with me.
The reality is, our biological children, in most cases, they don't have the choice.
Yeah.
So whether you were doing it right or not, they ain't got no choice.
Exactly. That's right.
So you get sucked into your own pride element.
That's right.
Whereas I gotta be doing it right because
ain't nobody saying nothing.
Nobody saying nothing. Well, who's gonna say something?
Right, that's so true. I'm the woman of this house. You the man of that house.
Who's gonna say something? Your kids not gonna say nothing.
Well, some kids might, but
most times they say
won't.
something. But look, they say something. But let's be for real about it.
Most kids won't.
Yeah.
Most kids won't. So that's powerful. So yeah, listen to your kids.
So they're suffering in silence in a lot of instances.
Yeah, but give them permission to share how they feel. And I always say, and I learned this because I didn't grow up in that household where children had a voice. I grew up in a household where children should be seen and not heard. But I've learned as later on, as I was raising my kids, to give them a voice, allow them to speak what's on their heart in a respectful way. Let them speak how they feel and not feel offended or disrespected by it, and give them permission. You know how they do the challenge thing on TikTok. We listen, but we don't judge. Maybe do that in a serious way where they can have permission to say how they feel about something without you being offended or feeling disrespected. That's important, because you have to allow them to express how they feel too, because it's not just affecting you, but it's affecting them too. All right, Apostle, give us some final words, and we're going to wrap it up.
Well, my final words that I would say, and my hope and a prayer that over this time, this conversation that we're having, that it is, because look, I can speak more so from my mistakes.
Yes.
And be humble enough to say, I've made plenty of mistakes. I've had a lot of shortcomings, and I'm still here. You got to, the thing that I pray that you'll be able to say is, you're still there. Over the years, 28 years, we've been dating 29 years now, and being married 29 years later this year, we've made plenty of mistakes.
Yes.
But we still can say we're still here. Yeah. I want you all to be encouraged enough to fight for your relationship. Know that your children are valuable. Your biological and your bonus children are just as valuable. Show them love and show them how to love.
Yes.
Don't just tell them that they gotta love. And when you show them that they gotta love, look. And I know I said it's the last thing, but I want to help somebody. One of the things that Regina mentioned about us leaving from where we were at and moving into a bigger house. We did that because we wanted to show them how much we love. Because we didn't want to just keep on putting them into an unwinnable situation and telling them to get a championship. So we said, no, every person was just as valuable. So they should be able to have their own. They should have their own room. They should have their own space. And if you love them enough to model that, then you're going to sacrifice. Because you're the parent. You're the one that should be sacrificing. You're the one that should be figuring it out. Don't try to make them have to figure stuff out that they're not even equipped emotionally, psychologically, even monetarily to be able to figure certain things out. So if you take the responsibility because you created this. You created this situation. So go ahead and step forward. And don't be afraid. Trust God. Do I have any water walkers out here? If there's any water walkers, step out on faith and take your life back. Take your life back for your family. Don't just talk about how your family is disintegrating. Don't be a 2-time loser. Don't be a 3-time loser. Come on, stick and stay and make the current situation the best situation that you can be. 29 years later, I'm standing here and I'm sitting here and I'm telling you, it can be done if you just make up your mind to do it. God bless you all today.
Thank you so much for that. Even if you're doing the best that you can, work with what you have until you can get better. But just know that if you do your best, then that's the best you can do. But just don't give them anything. But try to stretch yourself and challenge yourself a little bit to do a little bit better, to show them what love looks like. And we're not just talking about material things. So we are so glad that you guys stuck with us all of this time as we were talking about the blended family. I pray that this has blessed you in some type of way. Maybe you're not a blended family. Maybe you know somebody that is. I want you to encourage them to watch this video. And I want to tell you how you can become a Taking My Life Back warrior. 2 simple steps. You can go to my website. It's reginaholiday.ministries.com, and you go to the Taking My Life Back page and you share your story there and send it to me. And then you go to the products and services page and you purchase your Taking My Life Back t-shirt. And that's it. Those are the 2 simple steps. If you want to do a video interview, we can do a video interview online, or if you just want to write and tell me your story, I will be more than happy to hear it. But I want to encourage you, if you're doing the work to take your life back, we want to hear your story. If you're not doing the work and you need a little bit of encouragement, I encourage you to go to my website. All of the interviews are there. We've done 13, maybe 14 interviews at the time of this video, and I hope and pray that those video interviews have blessed you as well. So we're not going to belabor the time, but we want you to continue to look for more from Taking My Life Back, the movement. We want to thank my husband, Apostle Jeff, for joining us today on this segment of Taking My Life Back, the movement, the blended family edition. We thank God for you all, and we're going to have more coming to you soon. But our prayer is that you continue to be richly blessed in the Lord. God bless, and we will talk soon. Bye.